The pause that we put in place for travellers coming back from India is working, and that will remain in place with no change until the 15th of May. We see no need to extend it beyond that date.
The official line is the temporary ban on flights from India did what it was supposed to, giving quarantine facilities time to clear the decks. Unofficially, it's been a PR nightmare, not just with the Indian community and human rights groups, but even the PM's regular cheer squad.
I think this is an embarrassment. It is a moment of shame.
So the government's letting the ban expire, but touting it as a success.
The biosecurity order is doing its job. It is doing what we intended it to do. It will run for the term that we intended it for it to run.
Aussies hopeful of a homecoming when repatriation flights resume will need to provide a negative COVID test before they can board.
The question, though, what has he been doing to put in place safer quarantine arrangements that would allow them to return home quickly and safely? And the answer appears to be nothing.
The number of Australians keen to come home from India has grown to 9,500, with 950 of those considered vulnerable. The federal government has scheduled 3 flights this month to bring some of them in through the NT. It's counting on Victoria, New South Wales and Queensland to help double the number of incoming flights. By the end of the month, the NT's Howard Springs facility is expected to increase its capacity to 2,000.
We will continue to do the heavy lifting for the nation. We'll continue to look after our fellow Australians, and we will also continue to keep the territory safe.
India has set another shocking record, more than 414,000 new cases today alone, bringing the official total to 21 million.
And for my child, we haven't seen her for close to 17 months. So I can certainly see the sorrow in her heart.
Today, a parliamentary committee heard moving testimony from stranded Aussies and those separated from loved ones.
I literally get emotional when I say that, because when her grandmother says that she has grown taller, I literally feel sad.
So are we doing all we can to rescue our people from the escalating crisis?
After National Cabinet today, the Prime Minister was working really hard to make it sound like this is all going according to plan, but he can't have expected the likes of Andrew Bolt to come out as hard against him as they have. Yeah. So it's been criticism all over the place. I just wonder whether that criticism extends to all quarters of some key marginal seats. My guess is that some of the reason he's not willing to completely fall on his sword, that it was wrong to threaten jail time in that press release and then blame the media for overbeating it, is because he still wants to appeal to those people who perhaps didn't have a problem with, banning Australian citizens from coming back.
Well, he is the only leader in federal and state that's coming up to an election, isn't he? So he's now the one that's got to try and walk that line. But it does, you hear this stuff around India, and it does make you wonder why we're 15 months into this pandemic and we're still using CBD hotels as quarantine facilities. And I wonder why we don't have well-built, purpose-built quarantine facilities without shared corridors somewhere in Australia. Surely we've got enough land. And I feel like pandemics are here to stay, right? So why aren't we having maybe the private sector come in and building luxury, quarantine facilities if you want it? Come do your big trip, come home, have 2 weeks by the pool in the middle of nowhere and do your quarantine.
Star ratings.
Oh, so we can get to the point where people go, great, I've got 2 weeks quarantine.
Maybe, I don't know, and maybe that solves this problem.
Yeah, if the government wants to do something, they make stuff happen. They spend billions of dollars on detention centres. Surely they can bring back Australians with citizenship when they need help.
You would think that purpose-built facility should be there by now, though. There's no doubt about that in some form. I mean, it was true that we were right that hotel quarantine early on was a great solution, but it has now gone past its use-by date. Past it.
With so much content online, it's sometimes hard to keep up with it all. And let's face it, who has the time? The Project YouTube has you covered with the stories that matter. Hit subscribe for a daily list of the news that you need to know.